we have come to register unequivocally that we are not satisfied with the report.
Bola Tinubu's correspondents, INEC and APC, did not oppose the tendering and admissibility of the papers in evidence. After admitting the documents in evidence,
and that's said, we are the critical stakeholders. What we say matter because we are the ones that are affected directly.
As a matter of fact, we are of the opinion that the report is not just ridiculous, but a deliberate act to slight the Nigerian entity.
It's getting more interesting. Tinubu bombards court with 17 crucial documents. I repeat, 17 crucial documents to fight the articulations claim against him that he did not emerge as the president of Nigeria. During the judicial hearing that he was favored by the INEC chairman, now he decided to come out with a new grand style with 17 crucial documents to counter the claim of Atiku and that of Peter Obi. I want you guys to watch this particular video. We'll be back to do some SCGC.
The presidential election petition court by Abubakar Atiku and the People's Democratic Party seeking to overturn the outcome of the February 25, 2023 presidential election. The Electoral Commission, INEC, had declared Bola Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress, APC, as the winner of the presidential election, but Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, who came second in the race, disputed the election outcome. On Tuesday, while opening his defense, Bola Tinubu presented his academic records before the Presidential Election Petition Court in Abuja. Tinubu tendered the academic records obtained from the Chicago State University in the United States of America to counter a suit lodged by Atiku Abubakar challenging his victory as Nigeria's president. He also tendered more than 17 documents before the court to debunk allegations of criminality in the petition. The documents tendered are copies of a letter from the Nigeria police to the United States Embassy dated February 3, 2003, a letter from the United States Embassy to the Nigeria police dated February 4, 2003, a bundle of his educational records from the Chicago State University, Tinubu's immigration documents and US visas amounting to about 17 documents. Tinubu also tendered copies of reports of the committee on the location of the federal capital of Nigeria and of Form EC8D for Kano State in respect of the February 25, 2023 presidential election, and that of Form EC8D-A in respect of the same election. Apart from the educational and travel documents, the court further admitted an originating summons of a suit instituted at the Supreme Court by the Attorneys General of Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Delta, Edo and Sokoto states, challenging the educational background of Tinubu to stand for the 2023 presidential election. He also tendered certified true copies of newspaper publications on several suits filed against the president by several groups in This Day newspaper, Sunday Sun newspaper, Nigeria Tribune newspaper, Punch newspaper, and The Nation newspaper. In furtherance of his quest to debunk allegations of fraud against Mr. Tinubu, Mr. Olonipekun tendered the immigration documents of Mr. Tinubu's trips to the US between 2011 and 2021. He said the documents were certified by the Nigeria Immigration Service. The lawyer also presented the final results of the presidential election, which declared Tinubu president-elect. After tendering tons of documentary evidence, Olanipekun SAN told the 5-member panel of the court headed by Haruna Samani that a documentary foundation had been laid for Mr. Tinubu's case. But Atiku's lawyer, Chris Uche, an SAN, opposed the admissibility of the documents. Bola Tinubu's correspondents, INEC and APC, did not oppose the tendering and admissibility of the papers in evidence. After admitting the documents in evidence, the court adjourned further hearing until Wednesday. In the petition challenging Mr. Tinubu's victory, Atiku accused the then president-elect of drugs trafficking and falsification of U.S. academic records and identity. In the filings, Atiku's lawyer, Mr. Uche, said Tinubu forfeited $460,000 as a compromise agreement in the U.S. Atiku further faulted Mr. Tinubu's victory because he holds dual citizenship of Nigeria and Guinea, having voluntarily acquired the citizenship of the Republic of Guinea. He accused INEC of fraud and substantial non-compliance with the provisions of the Electoral Act and the Constitution during the conduct of the February 25 election.
Now, while we are here contesting or challenging Bola Ahmed Tinubu being the president of Nigeria through illegal means, another group are out there challenging and protesting against the United Nations observer who came to observe the 2023 presidential election. Remember that they said that the INEC chairman did not even meet up to 35% of their promise during the 2023 presidential elections. You know, they promised that every result will be uploaded to the ROV portals, but unfortunately, they did not upload any presidential results. Now, when they came out and give their own personal statement that as an observer, this is what we observe, that the Bola Ahmed Tinubu and that of the INEC were working hands in hands, that even the INEC did not go about their promise. And even if when they were paid over 200 something billions, not millions, to buy the electoral materials to conduct a peaceful and fair elections, unfortunately, they did not meet up to 35% of the. Now, for this statement, some certain group who are supporters of Bola Ahmed Tinubu went to Abuja to protest against this statement. I want you guys to watch what this particular lady who led this protest in Abuja over the statement of the international observer who came to observe 2023 presidential election.
Lillian, a patriotic Nigerian, patriotic in the real sense of it. As you can see, I have with me thousands of other patriotic Nigerians who have come specifically to raise concern about the presentation and, of course, the report of the European Union concerning the just concluded election. We have come to register unequivocally that we are not satisfied with the report of the European Union. As a matter of fact, we are of the opinion that the report is not just ridiculous, but a deliberate act to slight the Nigerian entity, and of course, by implication, our leaders and the government of Nigeria. We are all Nigerians here. We're all here during the just concluded election. But before I proceed further, I would like to say to you very clearly, crystal clear, that there is no election in the world that is devoid of crisis and hitches. Every election in the world, both in the United States of America, both in the Great Britain, both in Ireland, and even the European Union countries, every election comes with their peculiar problems. Nigeria is not an exception. Yes, we are aware that the world is a global village. Therefore, people from different parts of the world converge in various countries during elections to monitor, observe, and of course, make presentations like the EU has done. But what we find unnecessary, what we find not worthy, is the manner in which the report was made, and of course the presentation was made. The election that was just concluded in Nigeria that produced one of the greatest men alive today, in the person of His Excellency, distinguished Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was one of the most transparent elections in the history of Nigeria. We were taken aback when the report came and the media was awash with reports of the European Union carefully and specifically saying that the election was fraudulent, that the election fell short of the requirements of every credible election in the world. We don't know where that is coming from. If it is the election that we were all part of, that we all fought vigorously with our lives and everything that we have as patriots and well-meaning Nigerians to ensure that the election held, if it is the same election that the European Union spoke about, that we read about, then it means that something is fishy somewhere. You will also agree with me that the report of the European Union is enough to trigger a national problem. is enough to trigger a national chaos. Our security is at stake. Our security of lives and property is at stake. Our sovereignty is at stake. Our unity is at stake. Nigeria is the greatest country in Africa, the most populated country in Africa, and of course the pride of the African continent. If the European Union is beginning to address our elections and of course whatever is daring, the way they have presented this report, then we are scared. We are scared that it's not just going to affect Nigeria as a country, it's going to affect the whole of the African continent. We are striving to grow. We want to be first and second world countries. We want to be emerging countries. And we cannot grow in the speed that we want to grow with the kind of reports that we are getting from the European Union. We are here to register our grievances. We are here to tell them that as a matter of urgency, they should withdraw their reports. And of course, come up with the reports that will be favorable to Nigeria, the report of what they saw. How on earth can just less than 50 people from the European Union come to Nigeria to observe an election where you have over 176,000 polling units and election centers, and then they go to less than 1,000 polling units and election centers, and they draw conclusions. And I also want to send a clear signal to them. If there are people, if there are other Nigerians that they are using as scapegoats to send the wrong signal about our dear country, we want to tell them to desist from that immediately. Nigeria want to measure up with European Union countries. Nigeria want to be like the United States. Nigeria want to be like the Great Britain. Nigeria is striving seriously to be like every first and second world countries of the world. So we will not henceforth condone any false report. We will not henceforth condone any manipulated reports against our dear country. It has happened in the past. What we are seeing is neo-colonialism in disguise, and we will not allow that. We want to be a sovereign country. We want to be an independent country, independent in the true sense of it. We have a constitution that guides us. We have the constitution that sets the tone, and the constitution is what we must work with and work by, not by any speculations and fabrications and rumors from the international community. We are saying enough is enough. We have a president that is doing very well. We have a president that has started on the right footing. We have the president that is doing what several presidents in Nigeria have not been able to do. All that we need at this point is to support him. He is our son. We are his children. He is our leader. We willingly voted for him. No man, no woman, no country compelled us to vote for him. It is our right to vote for the candidate of our choice, and that was exactly what we exhibited in the last election. Our election that we all witnessed was free, to an extent, was free to a very large extent, almost 100% free. It was an election that was devoid of so many things that we used to witness in the past. Our democracy is growing at an accelerated rate, and we must want the international community to take cognizance of that. Instead of bringing out reports that they have fabricated, we will reject that and reject it vehemently. We want to let them know that never again, the third time, should they intrude in our national affair. We understand the role they play. Yes, that is not out of place. But again, there comes a time when we have to stop. They should know when to stop, and they should know when to continue. If there are no motives, why on earth should they take the reports of this election to the tribunal? Is that where a report should be received? No. There are procedures, they have procedures in their countries, but when they come to Nigeria, they act out of protocol. They must begin to observe protocols. They must begin to respect our rule of law. They must begin to respect the Nigerian people. This is what we have come to say here in very clear terms today.
I know a lot of you are pissed off right now. I know definitely my first time of coming across this particular video, me too personally, I was angry. Like, I don't know how much they paid this lady, but you can even see from her actions that she's just being gullible, saying whatever she wants to say, because definitely she was sponsored to lead this protest. All she was saying, for me, it doesn't even make sense. I can't even comprehend or process everything she's saying. Oh, the EU must apologize to Nigeria. The EU must do this. They came as an observer. I personally am an individual. I did not go around in every polling unit in Nigeria to observe anything. I don't need to be in Lagos to know what S.C. Oluomo did for Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I don't also need to be in Rivers State to know what Nesi Wike did for Bola Ahmed Tinubu as well. So the information are out there, so people can easily collect information from media, especially when it is trusted media. There were journalists all over the police units. The videos are out there. So what this woman is saying is arat nonsense and just count it as garbage. Now, when I thought I've seen it all, the IPAC, IPAC also came out to disagree with the EU observers, saying that they don't need to interfere. First of all, I will say, yes, they don't need to interfere. But if what they said was in favor of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it would have been bravo. Yes, they have came and saw and they conquered and they state the truth that Bola Ahmed Tinubu truly is the president of Nigeria. I want you guys to watch this particular video. We will be right back.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, as winner. Tongues have been wagging and discussions have continued around the process. Recall that on the 28th February 2023, when the collation of the results from the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory for the presidential election ran into logjam at the International Conference Center, Abuja, IPAC, after due consultations, intervened and encouraged INEC to continue with the process in order to guarantee the survival of democracy in Nigeria. The two major opposition parties, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, the Labour Party, LP, and their presidential candidates, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, respectively, as well as about 3 other political parties, disagreed with the outcome of the elections and have since gone to the Presidential Election Tribunal to challenge it. The elections have been described by some local international observer missions as having fallen below the minimum standard of what free, fair, and credible elections should be. As the tribunal's decision is being awaited, the honestness around discussions on the election's outcome appeared to have been stirred once more with the recent release of the final report on the findings by one of the foreign elections observer missions, the European Union Election Observation Mission, on the February 25th and March 18 elections. The EU EOM, which worked for 3 months in Nigeria between January 11 and April 11, 2023, had a total of 110 accredited observers from 25 EU member states, as well as other countries. The mission, that's EU, offered 23 recommendations for consideration by the Nigerian authorities as part of its contribution to improve the future elections in Nigeria. IPAC has noted the content and recommendations of the EU EAM report and other reports and will respond as active and most critical stakeholder in the electoral process within a fortnight. IPAC has put in place a committee to carry out a thorough review of 2023 election with a view to engender dialogue between all stakeholders on electoral reforms to achieve improved democratic practices in Nigeria. Compared to some previous elections, IPAC is of the opinion that the 2023 general election was one of the most meticulously prepared for in recent times. Also, the unprecedented enthusiasm demonstrated by the Nigerian youth who trooped out in their numbers despite structural and procedural challenges were largely responsible for some of the positive developments. INEC should be praised for the technological innovations introduced, especially in the accreditation of voters using the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, which has generally been scored very high by voters. It is on record that the success rate for BVAS accreditation stands at 98% compared to the smart card readers, 29.2% during 2019 general elections. Also, the unprecedented turnout of the youth yearning for change against the status quo, resulted in 5 political parties producing state governors, 7 parties won senatorial seats, 8 are represented in the House of Representatives, and 9 in state houses of assembly. Clearly, the 10th National Assembly is certainly the most diverse in party representation since 1999. In some states around the country, different political parties control the legislative and the executive arms of government. What is clear from these records also is that the days of single party dominance of our national politics are probably gone. Furthermore, many prominent candidates lost in their constituencies they contested, and political parties lost in some of their presumed strongholds. IPAC will be glad to share with you at the official presentation of our findings in a few weeks the way forward for the growth of democracy in the most populous nation on the continent of Africa. Thank you for listening to me. We actually take exception to such pronouncements before the conclusion of the tribunal cases because, like you rightly said, it is prejudice, prejudice to do that, and that's why we didn't want to dabble into such issues, because we are affected directly. So perhaps EU, not being a direct participant, in the cases, perhaps can make such pronouncements that they have made. But in our own particular case, we cannot. You can start correcting, anything at all. So we don't, because we are coming out with observations as to how we can deepen democracy and ensure that the process is much more freer than it was, hitherto. So that's what our report is all about, is how do we take it from where we are now, because yes, there are encumbrances, on the system. Some are intended, and to correct such systems or such processes, you need to take a stock and do a thorough, examination of what must have happened, so that you will now be able to chart a way forward that will take cognizance of everything. That those who rush to give the reports, perhaps they are not as critical to the process as we are, because we are the political parties. Every other person is talking about us, directly or indirectly, because we were the players, we were the ones that were affected directly, and so therefore you can't cry, more than the bereaved. That's the issue, isn't it? So we believe that our report will be a very, very thorough and comprehensive and down-to-earth report that will help the cause of democracy in Nigeria. We are not just, we don't want to play to the gallery. We don't have anybody to impress than ourselves. So that's why we believe, no matter how much time it takes us, it will be a job well done. It's a fundamental issue. You can't have somebody taking part as an active participant in an exercise, and then he is the one now that will appoint the people officiating and then declaring the results of that exercise. How do you come by free and fair and then credible results in that instance? But it's not the fault of those who are there today. It's the fault of us, we Nigerians. We should do. That's why people talk about ambiguity in the law, talk about issues that we should really interrogate, and then do what we believe is the right thing to do. The right thing to do is to have somebody who will be truly independent, not only in name but in action, by way of his being, his independence. And then if any institution should be independent in Nigeria, I think it's INEC, because everything begins from there. If we can get it right there, everything about issue of corruption, issue of all the things we are battling with, would have solved then, with just that one modification or amendments to the electoral or to the constitution. So many things are there that are critical and very important, and we can't rush over such things. It requires really deep studies, to see how do we really take care of our peculiarities, because that also is there. You know, we're a peculiar country. Nigeria is a country that different from all other countries, and we must come up with something that addresses those peculiarities that define us as a different nation from others. That's why we note the observations of EU and all other observers. But like you rightly said, we are the critical stakeholders. What we say matter, because we are the ones that are affected directly. So ours should not be the one coming before others, and ours should not be rushed.
Chairman.
Any observation at all, talk less of EU, because like I've said, we just note it, that what they have said, we note it. I mean, anybody can make observations, an opinion, and people are entitled to their opinion. You can't take it away from them. But we, as the critical stakeholders, we have our own opinion. We know what we need. We know what has happened. We know what went wrong. We know how to correct it. And that is why we are not so much bothered about what any other person may say, not even EU. Any other person can say whatever they like. That's why I say you can't cry more than the bereaved. We here are the bereaved. So we know what we know what has happened. We know what to do, and we are already doing it. We are studying, we are working to see that we come up with something that everybody will now know that yes, going forward, democracy will prevail in Nigeria. So, and then your other question was,
how do we manage the reports?
Yes. No, that's why I said we have noted.
Your first question.
Yes. Exactly. We have noted the observations.
So thank you, sir.
Now that you have watched this video, what do you think about the IPAC, how they disagree with the EU observers who came to Nigeria to observe the 2023 presidential elections, and their own personal statements they released? I want you guys to comment your thoughts in the comment section. Anyway, we're going to be ending the video here. First of all, I want to thank you guys, because I can't do without appreciating you guys. Without you, there is no Plan B TV. God continue to bless you for your support, like, share, and comment on all my videos. I love you guys. Remember, God loves you more. If it is the first time of coming across our video, please do us a favor, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you'll be notified anytime we upload a new video. Please keep on sharing our content, like and comment. We love you, but remember, God loves you more. Peace out.
Don't forget to subscribe to get notified. And as you they share your support, now say God bless you too.
Sense on the bed.
Plan B TV, Plan B TV, Plan B TV, Plan B TV. Oh, Plan B TV, Plan B TV, Plan B TV, Plan B TV.